let's dive right into it. Before we get started, actually, just want to remind you guys that if you have any questions, you can always ask them in the live chat, which is just on the side where you're introducing yourselves right now. And then we have like I guess we have maybe 20 minutes of presentation.
Something like 20 minutes presentation and 10 minutes in the end for question and answers.
Exactly, and that's when we can answer your question. One of the things that I have to insist is that considering the length of the webinar, we would prefer to answer only the questions related to CRM and sales, so stay within the scope of the webinar. But if you have any other questions relating to any other subject, or if you have more information about like specifically for your company or for your needs, you can always contact Stefano at spt@odoo.com, and hopefully you'll be able to get back to them.
Yeah, I'll be glad to. Sure.
All right, great. So let's get right into the webinar.
Yeah. So yeah, if you can see, basically my first slide, we introduced the CRM, sales and invoicing module. But first of all, I would like to introduce a little bit the company. So mentioning the history of Odoo. First of all, let's present like our CEO and founder, Fabien Pinkert, Belgian IT guy. He founded the company in 2005. The former name was Tiny ERP. Then it became Open ERP, and since 2014, the company is called Odoo. Interesting details about the marketing positioning. We can say, and our customers say that, like seeing in this graphic, we achieve a very good user friendliness, especially compared with the business scope. So we achieve a good business scope, but still keeping easy interface and easy usability for the users. Seeing some key features about Odoo. Where is it in the world? Mostly. We are all around the world, basically. We have 2 offices in the US, so in San Francisco and New York. The headquarter is in Brussels, clearly. In Belgium, let's say, between Brussels and Grand-Rosières. In India, we have Eastern countries research and development department, and as well we have our commercial and sales department in Hong Kong, so for Asia. We have almost 900 partners in 120 different countries, 500 worldwide employees, which are still growing. In fact, Odoo is hiring more or less 1 people per day. And we are happy to have almost 4 million users of the solution. Some of our references that are shown here in the figure. As you can see, there are different type of companies. That's really interesting for Odoo because we have bigger references and bigger companies such as HP, NG or SNCF, but as well local businesses such as Bertin Champ Brewery, or other smaller and medium companies. So let's say that Odoo is an ERP system which can be used in all sizes of companies. Just before starting, like a last overview on what we are going to see today. So we already did the introduction. We will have now an overview of the contact module where we can create our new contacts. Then we will see how to configure properly our CRM, our Kanban view, and then creating products and price lists on the sales module in order to have our catalog. And lastly, let's say, seeing the whole sales flow. So from the first contact with the client, with a possible client, until the moment when we win the opportunity and we have to invoice our customer. As mentioned, last 10 minutes will be dedicated to question and answers. All right. So right now, switching and passing to a demo database that I created in order to show you the modules. I am here. What you are seeing, it is the main dashboard of an Odoo database. As you can see, it is structured in different modules that we mentioned. We are seeing 3 free modules, such as discussions, internal discussions, the calendar and the contacts that we will see. But we will mainly focus on CRM, sales, and invoicing. Starting with the flow, I would like to show you how the contacts module look like. Here I have some contacts, basically my administrator contact, the company that I configured. Since it is Thanksgiving Day today, we thought about like configuring the database such as a company which sells and retails kitchen furnitures. So this is the scenario that we will imagine. So that is my company, Easy Cuisine. And I already created a first contact. I can always create a contact or import a contact if I have an existing database. Seeing how it looks like, this will be really quick. I'm now in the contact form. I see that this person, David Russell, is one of my clients. There are already 2 sales made, and I have the main data contained here, such as his address, the mobile phone, and the email, for instance. That, for practicity, I configured with my email so that we can use to see the interface. Passing now and introducing the CRM. Well, this is the main view that we would have on our CRM in Odoo, but it is interesting because at the top right, we can see that we have different views if we would like to switch. For the moment, I would keep the Kanban view. This allows you to see your opportunities divided in different columns. So we have 4 columns right now. This is a standard configuration. Every column represents a different stage of our commercial part. So the flow would go from the left to the right in terms of stages of qualification, negotiation, and won opportunity. We are facing an easy interface because everything can be moved with the drag and drop method. So as you can see, I could easily change the positions of the existing columns. As well, I have the possibility to edit every single stage. For instance, this is new. It's basically telling me, okay, here I could put the new contacts, and this is what I'm doing right now. So I'm editing you live, and I have my new column. As well, a cool feature that you can see is that at the right, I can always add new columns in order to organize my sales flow in how many different steps I want. Passing now, so at the creation of a new opportunity, how do we do that? So let's imagine, coming back to the scenario, that we are having a first contact with a potential client, and so we want to keep a trackability of this first contact. What we would do is to create a new opportunity. As I'm creating a new opportunity, I would call it with the name that represents for me, that tells me something about this opportunity. For example, in this case, I could imagine kitchen furnitures. I'm creating this opportunity and I add it to my pipeline. Once I add it into my pipeline, I see a nice feature that we have is that we have blinking arrows that always tell us, always helps us and give us advice in order to configure, to do the first settings of our database. That's how Odoo is helpful in the configuration. Now, digging into the opportunity, this is what we would see. We saw the name that we gave it the opportunity, so kitchen furnitures, and if I edit it, I see the contact. But once you are going on in the step of qualifying and negotiating with your customer, the probability would raise. I'm now setting, as you can see here, who is the customer related to this opportunity. To do so, I would retrieve all my contacts in the contact form. Of course, I would have my contact database. Now, for practicity, I would choose David Russell, which are already configured, and automatically, as I can see, Odoo takes his email that I configured before. I can indicate as well for forecasting purposes the expected closing of this opportunity. I could say, for instance, okay, I hope that this opportunity could be closed. I have a calendar view, the 30th of November, so the last day of the month, I would like it to be closed. I can set a priority if I want with different stars, so very high or high, if I want to keep it at the top of my pipeline, and as well create tags in order to find it easier, in an easier way, in my pipeline full of opportunity. Once I save this configuration, I just created this opportunity, I gave new details. What I would like to do now is, for instance, register the fact that this morning I had a call with this potential client. So how do I do that? I basically go on schedule activity, and directly into Odoo I can choose the type of activity, saying it was a call, and the summary of it, it was a first call, and I can indicate in the internal notes whatever I want. So whatever type of information that I took, that I got from the call. For instance, I could say I qualified the customer, the contact, let's say. and I mark it as done. So it's an activity that I already did this morning, and I want it to be saved in my CRM. So as you can see, just scrolling down into my opportunity, I see that that's Stefano Patti, which is the responsible of this database, for instance, is one of my employees or one of my commercial or sales representative of the company, did a call, a first call, and he qualified the contact. If I go over here, an interesting feature is that I could precisely see at what time and on which day I did this activity. So in order to have an historical view of everything I did. Right now, what I could do, for instance, since I qualified the contact, I could pass it, as you can see here at the right top, into the qualified stage. Since it's not anymore a new contact, but I already have an idea of what he wants. For example, he could have told me, all right, I would like to have a new oven with the installation service, for instance. So in that case, what I would do as managing the company, the contact is qualified. Next stage, as proposed by Odoo, is that I can pass to the negotiation, so the proposition and the moment when I send a quote to my customer. So how do I do that? I could even plan another activity if I want to do it later today. And just to show you again, I could schedule an activity and say, for example, it would be an email and I say, send quotes. So this is the new activity that I want to do. Send quote, it would be only one. And I'm scheduling it for the day of today. So the 22nd of November. I'm scheduling it and it will appear in orange, as you can see here, as an activity to do today. I can see it here or elsewhere. You can see as well when you're reaching your office, when you're heading to your office in the morning, you could basically see even outside of the CRM, we would have this clock just at the top right, which tells us which activities are planned for today. So if I click on it, I see that I have one activity planned for today, and directly I'm brought into the CRM, seeing that kitchen furnaces opportunity is related with an activity that I have to do. So it was sending the quote. How do I send a quote? Well, generally it could be manually, it would take time. No, with Odoo, I could directly go into my CRM, retrieving my opportunity and say, as you can see here at the top left, create a new quotation. So I would create a new quotation. Odoo would automatically take my customer and I can add a product right now. Saying, for instance, which is the validity. The validity of my quotation, of course, depends on the terms that you want to put. I could say, for instance, that this quotation at these prices has validity until the end of the year, December 31st. An interesting feature that I can show you right now before digging into the quotation is how I configure my product and how I can also choose a different type of price list. For instance, I'm saving this quotation and we are taking it back in 1 minute. I'm going and introducing already the sales module right now. In the sales module, what we have is that we can configure our products. If I go on products, I would see that I already created a new product, which is an electric oven. If I click on it, I see how it is configured. So it is a product that we said can be purchased and can be sold. Since I'm a retailer, I'm a distributor. And if I edit, I can choose many different parameters, such as name, can be sold, can be purchased, but as well the type of product, so if it's consumable or if it's a service, and as well the sales price. We can also, with Odoo, configure the different variants. The variants can be configured such as the door material is something that I already created, can be in aluminium or in glass. And as well, we could add a line. It's really easy. We can say, let's add another attribute, which is the color. And the color, I'm creating it right now. And I add some attribute values. So I can say, for example, that it can be black. And I create this attribute as it can be gray. So I have other variants available right now in my catalog. Now, what I would like to show you as well is how we can configure different price lists. So we set the products, we set the product variants, and as well, we can set different price lists. What is a price list for Odoo? It is the possibility of selling the same product with at different price, depending on the customer or depending on the period. For instance, what I configure here, it's a basic public price list with normal prices, so there's no discount included. But I created a new price list that would take me like 20 seconds, which is called Black Friday week. It refers to this week specifically. We are into the reality, let's say. And what I did is that on all products, so on all my products in my catalog, I want from the starting date of November 19th until November 24th, a 20% discount on the public price. Now this is set, and where do I see it? Well, coming back into my quotation, the one I was creating right now, I'm in the kitchen furnitures, and I retrieve my quotation at the top right. I come back to my quotation, and I go on to editing it. So I would edit, define which price list I want to have, if I want the public or the discounted one, and I would have the discounted price directly applied. Let's say that I keep the public one, and I add my products. So I'm adding the products presents in my that exists in my catalog. So as you can see, I have the electric oven in its 4 variants. So Odoo already created and combined the 4 different possibilities. Let's say I would take it black glass. I take that one. The unit price is €650. 1 order unit. That's all right. If I want, I can always edit the price manually and edit the discount manually. Now I can save it, and I'm directly able to send it to my client. I can send it to my client, or as you can see, Odoo is recommending me as well. If I want, I can print it. So Odoo will retrieve a PDF, will create a new PDF that I can print if my client, for instance, is in my office. If I send it by email right now, what would happen? Odoo would do 3 main actions. So first of all, as you can see, it's taking the customer, David Russell, with its own email, the one I already configured. Second thing, it's taking an email template that we can configure as you prefer to contact your clients when you send a quotation. And as you can see, we would have Dear, the name of the customer. Here is your quotation with the sales order number 4. And third thing, very interesting, is that we directly have as an attached file the PDF. What do we find in the PDF? We can download it and print it, as I said. And in the PDF, we would have our quotation with, at the top left, our logo, our company logo, for instance, the details of our company, and at the right, the details of our client, an individual or a company. Then we would have the quotation with main informations about sales and description of the product, quantity, and the price, dividing per net price and VAT. So we see, for example, here that we have €136.5 in VAT and taxes, with a total price, and that is how our PDF would look like. Coming back to our quotation, I could send it right now straight away to my client. What would happen is that I would have a quotation that can be signed online, and as well we can accept the payment online from our customer. The email would be sent from my email that I used to enter this database. It will be directly sent to the email that I configured. For this purpose, I configured my email so that I can show you how it looks like. And if I receive an answer, if my customer directly answers, I can show you straight away how my email would look like. I would just have to refresh the page. And there it is. So Easy Cuisine quotation. I have a quotation. I received it on my Odoo email. And I have Dear David Russell, here is your quotation. I could sign and pay online if I want. So if I click on it, imagining to be the customer, I would see the quotation and I can accept and sign. Of course, Odoo accepts, we have another module which is e-signature, which allows our customer, let's say, to directly accept and sign online the quotations. Coming back at our database, so we are over here. We already sent the quotation. So what I would like to do right now is that I could confirm the sale. It can be automatically confirmed by the customer, or I can confirm it manually if I receive an email as an answer, and I would see it here with an historical view so of my clients, of what he sends to me as well. I would receive his email. The sales order is confirmed, so he likes the quotation and he accepts the purchase. Then we create sales order, as you can see here at the right. It's not anymore a quotation, it's already confirmed. And of course, Odoo gives us the possibility directly to create an invoice. What I would do if I'm managing my pipeline is that I would come back to my opportunity, so coming back to my pipeline, and say, for example, I bring in now with the drag and drop as proposition, and as well, I could mark it as done the activity. So I had an activity, it was sending a quote, I mark it as done, because I did it. Right now, we won this opportunity. We will pass it now or later. But what we can do is that we retrieve our sales order. As you can see, we have 650 euro in the sales order. I retrieve it and I create the quotation. And I create the invoice. I'm sorry for that. Creating the invoice allows me to see the invoiceable lines. I have the possibilities to create an invoice only for down payment, so only for a percentage of the payment that the customer wants to pay me, or for a fixed amount if it's an anticipated payment, for instance. Now I would create and view invoices. Odoo allows me to have a double check on my invoice and validating it directly. I check everything is alright, I validate. So now I have a new invoice which is in the status of open, as you can see here at the right. It's open, why? Because I didn't register any payment yet. So how would I do it? Well, basically I could register the payment over here. As you can see, I could register manually. If I open my bank account and I see that I received the payment, I would do it manually. Other methods that can be discussed are related, let's say, with accounting module. With our accounting module, we can use our bank extracts and automatically synchronize with Odoo pending invoices. But for now, in this presentation, we would just see the manual method. I'm registering like the total amount in the bank register. I validate, and now this invoice is not open anymore. It comes out as paid, and as well, I can retrieve some information about the payment over here, when it was made and with which method. So right now, I mean, we did the whole flow. To resume, we presented how we get the first contact with the client, how we can register the activities, and just after that, how we can send the quotations. The quotations, just to repeat, can be like signed and accepted online, and then I'm able directly to follow the same flow, still being in the CRM module. I'm able to create an invoice and send it to my customer. Now it is a customer, as I said, so I would come back to my pipeline, and maybe what's nice to do is to retake the opportunity and say, okay, finally I can mark it as one because it's an opportunity that I won and I'm going on with my sales. Actually, I think we saw the whole flow right now. Of course, as we mentioned, we have the 10 minutes question and answers. Let's just wait for some answers, and yeah, please, as Chadley said, if we can keep on CRM, sales and invoicing, we would see this module specifically. Else, if you have other questions that can be on any other module, I would be glad to answer in a private email.
Super. Thank you so much for that, Stefano. That was really clear and interesting. We actually, for the moment, we don't have any questions, so we can give a couple of minutes.
All right, sure. Sure, take your time.
We do have one question actually about the video itself. So as I mentioned in the comments, the live stream will be available on video just right now once the live stream is finished. I put the URL in the live chat so you have an idea when you can watch it. And yeah,
sure.
I think that's all. Also, of course, I mean, if you like what Stefano presented, I think it was very clear and to the point. You can always like, share, or comment. We also do webinars every Thursday here from Brussels, and our collaborators in the United States and in Hong Kong do them throughout the week as well.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in other modules, you can go through all of our playlists. We have a playlist in English and French and Dutch to have an idea about what kind of, let's say, what kind of information we have out there that could be relevant for you.
Sure.
We have our first question from
Right.
Abdel Kadi, who would like to know if it's possible to register a payment without creating an invoice.
Hello, Adele. Thank you for the question. So is it possible to register a payment without creating an invoice? Well, I mean, how could we do that? Well, from the sales flow, I mean, what I'm imagining in the flow, generally in Odoo Standard, we follow this flow. So we create an invoice, and just after that, we can register the payment in order to have, let's say, a trackability with the sales order. I mean, this is the logic. Elsewhere, what we could do, for instance, it's from the sales module. I mean, we could just, of course, confirm the sales without creating an invoice. Mm-hmm. This is a possibility. If you don't want, if you're not interested to create an invoice, you could only confirm your sales order. And then for your flow, I mean, you would register a payment with your accounting module. So this refers to the accounting module. Since you are not dealing with invoices, you would directly go into your accounting module and register a payment. So creating a new payment related to the sales order, for instance. But in this case, yeah, you wouldn't touch the invoicing module.
And it would be more the accounting module.
Exactly. I mean, you would focus on the accounting module and closing the sales cycle at the sales module.
Okay, thank you. We have another question from Zaina, who would like to know if it's possible to link the CRM module to Google Contacts.
All right. So hello, Zena. To link the CRM module to my Google Contacts. All right. In order to link it with an integration, so whenever you're adding a new contact on your Google Contacts, having it directly on Odoo, that is not possible in standard because we would like to integrate, as you can understand, with the solution. But what we could definitely do is that we could go in our CRM module.
Just show your screen today.
Yeah, sure.
There we go.
If you can see my screen, what I would do is that, for example, I would either go in Contacts and import so my Google Contacts, or elsewhere, I could do it as well directly on the CRM. I could import the opportunities directly. So as you can see, both modules offer the import button. And in both import buttons, you would find a template, a useful template, which shows you how it should be displayed. And as well, like seeing the type of extension that we accept, such as CSV or Excel files generally.
Okay, super. Let's get back to, sorry, I'm having a little bit of a trouble with the controls here.
Yeah.
All right. We have another question from Keith, who would like to know how does he view each salesperson's timeline?
Each salesperson pipeline. All right, that's a very good question. I mean, how would I see it? Again, if you're seeing my screen, I would go on the CRM. As you saw, this opportunity for the moment, it's related to the salesperson Stefano Patti. But if I would have somebody else, well, what I could do is that I could generally, there's an apply filter at the top and I see my pipeline, for instance. This means that I'm only seeing the opportunities related to the salesperson Stefano, since I'm logged in as Stefano. If I would quit this filter, now there are no other existing opportunities, only one. Here I see it, new request for some Odoo consulting. For instance, as you can see, there's no salesperson assigned, so it is not me, it could be a colleague. In this database, unfortunately, there's only me, but I could create a colleague, or it would be a user of the solution. And in that case, as you can see in my pipeline, as soon as I remove the filter, I see all the different pipelines. As well, this could be a feature interesting, for example, for administrator or sales managers. All the access rights can be set in a different way, so for every single user, in order to allow him or not to see each other's colleague pipeline, let's say.
Great, thank you. We are getting a lot more questions on. That's great. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
We have a couple more from Mian,
Sure.
Imran, who'd like to know if we can accept payment and installments.
Payments in installments.
I think we quickly went through that. For example, when you invoice just a part
Sure.
of the...
Sure, we can include
payment.
it. Actually, we can basically, I'm taking, if I'm sharing the screen,
Oh, yes.
I'm retrieving a generic, just a trial
There we go.
opportunity. If I would create a new quotation, when I'm creating a new quotation, what I could do is that in other information, so when I'm configuring it, customer and so on, as we already did, I could go on other information. And as you can see over here, I can set, as its default, to accept online signature and online payment. Online payment, like I would be glad to discuss about all the online payment accepted. We accept Stripe, we accept SEPA payment, so majority of credit cards, but that could be seen on our website or as well, like in a direct email to me. But definitely our customers would be able to pay online.
And again, just because that's something I forgot earlier, but if you want to contact Stefano directly, I'm putting his email address out there. It's spt at...
Thank you.
All right, getting on to the next questions.
Yeah.
We also have one from Sophia Driscoll, who'd like to know, can additional companies or contacts be linked to an opportunity? So can one opportunity have multiple
All right.
companies.
All right. So additional content. Okay. So again, that's a good question as well. Of course, we can imagine to have a team composed by multiple people, and we want to assign it to multiple people. We can indeed do that. It would not be in standard. In fact, in standard, we are able to assign each opportunity to one sales representative or to one team. It's a little bit like how we internally manage at Odoo. But with Studio, I guess, we would have to check it out, but I guess that with Studio, our customizing tool, we could add another field, saying, for example, second contact or second sales representative, and that would be another company or another salesperson.
And if you're looking at it from the customer point of view, for example, if you want to add multiple, like 2 customers to one opportunity, would that be possible? Yeah. For example, have the name of the CEO and the name of the company linked to an opportunity?
Well, that could be linked. Well, if in the same opportunity we would have 2 customers as well, I guess we would have to go through minor customization with Studio. Okay. Since Odoo allows us to select the first client, which can be a company or an individual, but it's mostly one, because basically in the classic flow it would make sense to have one customer related to each opportunity,
like one point of contact.
Maybe we can create, let's say, a double opportunity, such of a duplicate, which is the same opportunity but with another contact, so with another client.
Okay,
that would be a good possibility.
All right, to have multiple on there. All right. We have another question from Keith Hare, who would like to know if we can email from Outlook, as they do not use Gmail.
Yeah, okay, that has always to be checked. I don't know if you have experience about that. We have many customers working with Outlook.
Yes, we do.
It is not only with Gmail. So our email should be integrated, and there shouldn't be any problem because Odoo is using a catch-all email. So all the replies of your customers would come up to a catch-all email and then come back to your Odoo database. And the outgoing emails wouldn't represent a problem either. Yeah. Because coming from the same database. So
true. All right. Another one from Don Dima, who'd like to know if she can see a delivery time from manufacturing. Okay. Unfortunately, like I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, since we are focused solely on sales and CRM, we will not be able to take any other questions that aren't related to these 2 modules. I apologize for that, but perhaps in an upcoming webinar, we will be doing manufacturing as well. So please don't hesitate to come back and then, kind of see over if we are going to the points that you would like to know about.
As well, I can provide you information and so on.
Yeah.
But like manufacturing model will take time, and I mean, we could see it like if you get in contact with me. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. And then we have one last question from Martin Varn, who would like to know if we are implementing cryptocurrency as payment gateway. When are we doing that?
All right. That's a very actual question. It is a good one. For the moment, as standard, we don't have it. What is interesting for you on this topic is that some of our partners are developing external modules which are integrated with Odoo. So using Odoo database and having an external module, we could install this external module and even accepting payments with cryptocurrencies. I cannot give you more details, unfortunately, technical details. I think something is already ready. I suggest you to check out cryptocurrencies supported payments with Odoo, even in our Odoo apps. So if you would Google Odoo apps, you would see the whole list of external applications developed by partners, which are integrated with Odoo, so that can be used on Odoo database. And I'm sure you will find something about cryptocurrencies because I heard they are developing them. But
we can't give a timeline on exactly when. But maybe in the future. You never say never. But
sure. Sure, definitely.
Okay, thank you everyone very much for your enthusiasm, your questions, and your participation. And thank you, Stefano, for taking the time out to present.
No, thank you. Thank you all for participating. Thank you, Shelly, for the support.
Very important. Pleasure.
And
I hope you guys enjoyed the webinar. As I mentioned before, if you like it, please feel free to share, like, and put comments on it as well. We will be actually finishing the webinar, wrapping up the webinar right now, and I hope to see you guys next week for our next sessions. Thank you.
Thank you all. Goodbye.